The Space Shuttle Discovery, named for past ships of exploration, was delivered from its Palmdale, California shuttle factory to NASA's Kennedy Space Center in November 1983. Since then, Discovery has lived up to the historic legacy of its name. It flew to space more times than any other spacecraft. In orbit, it released a telescope to probe the universe and a spacecraft to explore the Sun. It carried laboratories to study weightlessness and instruments to study the Earth and its atmosphere. Early in its career, Discovery became the first spacecraft to bring a satellite back to Earth.
Ignition and liftoff of Discovery, making shuttle history and building our future in space.
But perhaps even more compelling than the discoveries it enabled in space is the spirit this vehicle has helped humanity discover on Earth. Its missions include flights that showcased how one-time Cold War adversaries can become long-term friends for exploration. Its flights further expanded space travel beyond boundaries of age, gender, and race, counting among those who flew on it the oldest astronaut, the first female shuttle pilot, and the first African-American spacewalker. But above all, Discovery twice proved that America had the will and the determination to persevere and succeed in the face of devastating grief and tragedy, returning America to space after the Challenger and the Columbia accidents. Discovery is the most accomplished space shuttle ever, set to complete 39 flights in all, amounting to over 5,000 trips around the Earth and more than 300 days in space. Discovery's long history in space began in August 1984.
3, 2, 1. We have SRB ignition and we have liftoff. Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the orbiter Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
When it launched from the Kennedy Space Center on STS-41D, Discovery held more than 41,000 pounds of cargo in its payload bay, a shuttle record at the time. The primary cargo consisted of 3 communications satellites. Among them was LESAT, the first large communications satellite specifically designed to be deployed by a space shuttle. The 6-person crew deployed all 3 satellites and tested an experimental solar array wing to prove technology for possible use on future space stations. On its second mission, STS-51A, in November 1984, Discovery headed to orbit to deploy 2 more satellites and retrieve 2 others. The spectacular retrievals would be accomplished by astronauts using jetpacks called the Manned Maneuvering Units, or MMUs. The retrieval of the first satellite, Palapa B2, took some improvisation. Spacewalker Joe Allen first captured the satellite with a device called a Stinger and guided it to Discovery's payload bay. After experiencing initial problems, the crew teamed up to manually berth it in the payload bay itself.
All right, we got her. Now, do you want me to move across? Did you get yours too, Joe? The big latch yours? Mine's latch.
The mission marked the final time the MMUs were used. In 1985, Discovery became the only shuttle to fly 4 missions in the same year. One of those, STS-51D, included 2 more satellite deploys. Utah Senator Jake Garn was a mission specialist on the crew, becoming the first sitting member of Congress to fly in space. During landing, Discovery suffered a blown front tire and brake damage. The incident prompted NASA to move future shuttle landings to Edwards Air Force Base in California until nose-wheel steering and brake improvements were implemented some 5 years later. The tragic loss of the shuttle Challenger and its 7 crew members stunned the world in January 1986. In its aftermath, NASA turned to Discovery to return Americans to space with a myriad of safety improvements. With the world watching, Discovery launched on September 29, 1988.
And liftoff! Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
Roger roll, Discovery.
During the 4-day STS-26 return-to-flight mission, Discovery's crew deployed a NASA tracking and data relay satellite, identical to the one lost aboard Challenger. A host of experiments were performed before Discovery made a triumphant return to Earth.
Ranger touchdown.
Discovery, welcome back. A great ending to the new beginning.
In 1990, Discovery flew a pair of missions to extend humankind's vision into the cosmos. In April, Discovery carried the Hubble Space Telescope to orbit on STS-31, releasing it at the highest altitude flown by a shuttle to that date, almost 380 miles. Hubble's 20 years of observing the universe have yielded breathtaking images and a better understanding of our place in the cosmos. Discovery would be called upon to visit and upgrade the telescope on two subsequent missions, STS-82 in 1997 and STS-103 in 1999. In October 1990, Discovery launched the European Space Agency-built Ulysses spacecraft. The robotic probe would make unprecedented observations of the Sun's polar regions for the next 18 years. When Discovery was built in the early 1980s, few would have envisioned its crews or destinations, including a program that began on its 18th flight, STS-60, in February 1994. The mission was the first cooperative human spaceflight between NASA and the Russian Federal Space Agency of the Shuttle Mir program. Discovery's crew included Russian cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev, and the commander of the historic mission would go on to become NASA Administrator, Charlie Bolden. Almost a year to the day after Krikalev's flight, Discovery would make history again as the international partnership progressed. On mission STS-63, Discovery's six-person crew included cosmonaut Vladimir Titov, mission commander Jim Weatherby, and first-ever female shuttle pilot Eileen Collins guided Discovery to within 40 feet of the Russian Mir space station to certify procedures that would be used later for the first docking of a shuttle to a space station.
We are bringing our nations closer together. The next time we approach, we will shake your hand, and together we will lead our world into the next millennium.
It was the first rendezvous of a space shuttle with Mir. The mission also saw astronaut Bernard Harris become the first African American to walk in space.